Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Footiefanzone episode number 6. And this is another one of our fantastic weekly live streams. And as you can tell, I've dressed up for the occasion because it is time to present the 2022 to 23 Premier League season awards. It's going to be the culmination of what has been a fantastic season over the last 9-10 months. It's been a very strange season, of course, with the World Cup cutting it off halfway through Christmas. But what an entertaining, the highs, the lows. We've experienced it all as footy fans, and of course we've just started over here on the stream as well, which has been really exciting to see the back end of the season. My name is Kieran Quiz. I'll be your host today. If you'd like to like and subscribe so you never miss any of the uploads as well. We'll be announcing over the next few weeks what we'll be doing over the summer, with obviously massive stories breaking and stuff like that. But this is the final stream of 2022-23 Premier League season, and I can't do it without two men who, one is hoping that he had a title, one that hopes he has a title in a few weeks. For my case, I hope that none of them get a title. It's Gary Bess and Elliot Davis-Trundle who joins me today. Boys, pleasure. Look at his face on the right on the right hand side there. Gary is a bit more smiley. You were just that was great. But obviously, guys, we are going to start here with the awards. 10 awards to be given out as well. And let's see this production. Let's see the production that Gary's done so well, if we could. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Look at that. 2022-23 Premier League end of season awards. 10 awards. We've all made our choices. I'm the only one that knows who everybody has given the award to. We're going to get started here with the best signing. The best signing, of course, has been some fantastic transfers in the summer. Obviously, January will not count in this, but it doesn't really matter. Me and Elliot have got an agreement with Erling Haaland, but Gary sticking with Manchester City and a striker and going Raul Alvarez. Elliot, there's so much we can talk about Haaland, but if you could briefly sum up why exactly you've given him this award, I'm sure he's going to be given awards throughout this whole presentation. But why for you would you say he's your best signing? Just trying to focus on that category.
Well, obviously they've signed him for like 50, 60 million. And all you need to say is 35 games, he's got 36 goals. The amount of goals that he's scored, no one's even got close.
Crazy. But Gary, obviously going with Alvarez, mate, a lot of people would say, actually, me and Elliot have a mutual friend who said that Alvarez wouldn't get in any of the bottom 10, was it? Was it bottom 10, he said?
Something like that.
Something like that, the bottom 10 teams. He wouldn't get in any of them, which is absolutely crazy. He's been a great player for Manchester City. Why would you say he is the best signing?
I think it's the best signing just because he's played different positions. He's been versatile, and I think he's not all right. Maybe he's not stood out as much as Haaland, but I think it's one that's been an underlying under Haaland.
Absolutely. And also, can I just say that mine and Elliot's mutual friend is a big rugby fan as well. So if you ask a rugby player about a football opinion, you're pretty much going to get total rubbish. Worst signing then, let's go to the opposite end of the spectrum. Me and Elliot are in agreement again with Richarlison, but Gary going a little bit closer to home with Scamacca. Gary, let's start with you. Obviously, he's been struggling with injuries. A lot of people were surprised that West Ham brought in a striker due to Antonio. I know you had many discussions about Antonio, but why for you has he really struggled in a West Ham shirt?
I think he's really struggled. Yes, obviously he's been down to injuries, but he's just not lived up to the hype that was around him in Italy. And I think I can't see any other reason why he couldn't have lived up to the hype.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, West Ham as well experiencing Premier League and Conference League football this season. So we had a lot of opportunities, of course. Elliot, Richarlison, a big price tag, Premier League proven. If he can I know there'll be a lot of debate about that, but he is. He's had his experience in the Premier League, going to Spurs. He was never going to be number one striker because of Kane, but he's not even got there, has he? What's your thoughts on Richarlison? Keep it PG.
Yeah, when you sign a striker for 60 million, even if he's not your top striker, you still expect him to score more than one in a season. Like, he's just been diabolical. He was good for Everton. He was one of the main men. And he was scoring goals and playing really well every week. But since he joined Spurs, he hasn't hit the ground running, and he's just not really done anything. Just a waste of money.
Absolutely. Spurs having a poor season with Charlton potentially coming into our lot of players, of course, on the firing line from a lot of Spurs fans. And also I was surprised that Everton got rid of him as well, because they just got out of the relegation places last season, and then you sell a striker. It was a bit odd. But overachievers then, let's go back to positive. Teams have done very, very well. This time, myself and Gary are in agreement. Elliot is the only outlier going for Fulham. Elliot, keep talking to me, man. What thoughts about Fulham? A lot of people said that they were going to be took right back down to the Championship, but what a great season it's been. And a club who has experienced great success in the Premier League and has stayed there for longevity is definitely back for another season.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, everyone expected them to go down or finish towards the bottom. And they're one of them clubs that people call yo-yo clubs, aren't they? Where you got one season, then you go down, come back up, come down. But this season, they really brought in signings that solidified their team, and with Mitrovic's goals and stuff like that. Everyone's thinking they're going to finish bottom. Well, not rock bottom, but near the bottom.
Yeah.
And then managed to get up to 10th. And I think that is because of Marco Silva and the really good transfer business they've done. And I think they do deserve 10th.
Yeah, I mean, they've also got a great spine of the team as well. Paulinia, Reed, I thought obviously Leno was I think a bit of good business. Obviously Mitrovic, Dekova, Reed and Willian on the wings. They have got a good squad, I would say. Gary, talk to me about Brighton. They're going on a Europa tour, of course, and obviously West Ham has experienced that. So it's great for a Brighton fan to see them up there. It's been a season of surprises, teams doing a lot better than a lot of people thought. So there could be many teams that has been put into this one. You go for Brighton. Explain why.
Yeah, obviously, I know twice, 2 seasons on the trot, a European tour. I know how it feels to be a fan. And I think Brighton have just excelled this season. I think they've gone out and said, we are focusing on this season. We are not going anywhere near the bottom. And that's where they've come out in the European spots.
Absolutely. Let's go back to the negative then, unfortunately, and give out the Underachievers Award. For the first time, we've all gone for 3 separate options. Myself going for relegated Leicester, Elliot going for mid-table Chelsea, which is scary to say, and Gary going with his own club, West Ham. Elliot, we'll start with you, mate. You've got a little allegiance with Chelsea due to a fantastic friend of yours, which we hope to have that on the channel one day, hopefully, fingers crossed. Obviously, he's a Chelsea fan. You've been keeping an eye on, obviously, how poorly they have been doing. But it's a big club. They shouldn't be down there. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, when you spend 600 million, you've got to be competing. Like, for the high-end trophies, and a club like Chelsea, you have to be competing. But they just haven't. I know managers haven't helped, but that's still no excuse. Because I know they've got a young team, but there are some experienced quality players in that side. And you expect a lot more from that team. Like, that should be a team that pushes Europe, not mid-table. So hopefully they need, well, not hopefully, but next season they need to pick a manager, which they have done in Pochettino, and he needs to get them going. Because from the start of the season, they got out the block really late.
Yeah. I mean, also just one sort of also thing about Chelsea. You mentioned about a young squad. I don't think that's very much. I'm not saying you're using it as an excuse, but I would say that you look at a team like Arsenal who've got a much younger squad, and look at the position that they are. So that might be an excuse that a lot of people can use in other seasons, but for this season especially, you look at Arsenal, far younger squad. and doing really, really well. So it's one of them excuses where you can't use it all the time. And Arsenal obviously doing really
it's
well.
down to experience as well. There's a Mudryk for 100 million from Ukraine. No experience in a top league. I know he played Champions League, but it's not a league. You've got Badiashile coming in from Monaco, where French league isn't really one of them elite divisions. And obviously you've got Sterling, who's a winner and experienced, but even he couldn't get the team up.
No.
Like, I don't get it. But quickly adding on to what you said about my mate coming on, I'll see what I can do. See if I can get him on for a week.
Fantastic. No, that'd be great. We're sticking in London there with Gary's choice, West Ham. I know it must be so painful of all 20 teams to give your own club, Gaz, the underachieving award. Hopefully, I regret what I said in the intro. I do want them to win the Conference League. Hopefully, we can watch that together. But I'm going to ask two questions. This is a bit of a two-parter. Why have you given them an underachieve? And could this potentially be not an underachieving season if you go and win the Conference League? You can answer both of them questions any way you can.
I've given them underachieving, I think, because at the end of the day, we've spent a lot of money, and I think we haven't used that money well. I mean, obviously, yes, bringing the likes of Lucas Paqueta and stuff like that, and I just think we haven't performed the way we really should have with the team we have. And yes and no. I think yes, because we still should be higher in the league, in the Premier League. But no, because it's an European trophy. It's a big one.
Yeah, absolutely. Gary staying on the fence there. Nice. Proper West Ham fan. Best moment of the season then. Of course, we've got a lot to choose from, but what have we all selected? We've all selected for different things. Myself seeing Newcastle obviously get Champions League football. Brighton qualifying for the Europa League, as obviously we've mentioned earlier from Elliot. But Gary going for the Jota's final goal against Spurs. Gary, I would say that your pick is a lot more comedic in many people's eyes, all but Spurs fans. Why have you picked this moment?
I picked it because the way Richarlison celebrated, like he scored a last-minute equaliser, and then Jota goes and scores the other end. It's funny as hell.
Indeed it is. Richarlison getting a lot of love on this show. Richarlison, if you ever want to come onto the Footiefanzone, I'll interview you, mate, not these two. Elliot, over to you, mate, about Brighton. We've spoken a lot about them. It's an incredible achievement, and it is a fantastic moment to sort of this season. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think it's both good for Brighton themselves and for the country, because it's good to see different clubs like this that are building their way up and challenging for the European spots with the so-called big clubs and the top clubs. And Brighton have always been a team of buy players for cheap, develop them, and then sell them on. We've seen it many times. But it's just nice to see that this year they've managed to keep their main players until the end of the season and get the rewards out of it. Like, it's nice to see a team like Brighton get Europa League. And I think hopefully they do really well.
Yeah, fingers crossed we'll be I'm guessing all English fans are going to be supporting Brighton on their Europa League tour. Player of the season, the big one for all the players that play in the Premier League is a clean sweep. We've got very boring but very effective as well, Erling Haaland, as he is for Manchester City. Elliot's already spoken about it, so I'm going to pass over the question of Erling Haaland to Gary. Speak to me about an absolute goal machine in the Norwegian warrior of Erling Haaland.
Absolutely class player. I think he gets into them pockets where no other attacker would even attempt to go or to even think about going, and he's there every time when that ball is played across.
Absolutely. A clean sweep for Erling Haaland. Is he a clean sweeping young player? No, and it just going for Haaland, myself going for Odegaard, but Gary going for Bukayo Saka as well. Elliot, talk to me about Haaland and why you've gone for a young player. Obviously, a lot of players that could have qualified for this award for your team Arsenal, but why have you distinctly gone for Haaland for the third time, by the way, in these awards?
I mean, going back to what I said about the goals, like, you've got to give it to him after getting 36 goals and 8 assists in 35 games. That is incredible. And the fact that he still qualifies as a young player, he's got to win it. Because if you're the player of the season, you've also got to be young player of the season. Like,
Absolutely unbelievable. And Gary, Bukayo Saka had a fantastic season. Hopefully, he can bring some of that fantastic form for the Gunners into England's obviously next tournament and their qualifying games that they've got coming up. Talk to me about Bukayo Saka and the great season he's had at the mighty Arsenal.
Yeah, Saka's had a quality season. I think off at the end, I think he took his foot off the gas pedal, but absolutely quality player, outstanding player. Didn't deserve the abuse he got. Obviously Euro 2020 or 2021, sorry. But yeah, absolute quality player.
Absolutely. Manager of the season then, who's been the best, in our opinion, on the touchline? Ellie and Gary in agreement with Eddie Howe. Myself going for Bournemouth manager Gary O'Neill. I do want to defend this because a lot of people might be saying, well, why didn't you not go for Eddie Howe or De Silva at Brighton? Gary O'Neill, I thought is absolutely fantastic what he's done for Bournemouth, obviously bringing them out after that 9-0 defeat to Liverpool under Scott Parker. I do think everyone just wrote Bournemouth off, but they've had some fantastic results over the last few weeks, and he deserves a massive mention. He's been quality. But I wanted to defend that one. I feel like the other ones are pretty much, they're safe choices, but I do think that was a bit of a controversial one. I'm not sure what the boys would say. But Elliot, let's go into Eddie Howe, mate. You can defend Eddie Howe on behalf of you and Gary.
yeah, I mean, he joined Newcastle when they sat in 16th. They was in dire form. Their squad was not great. And then he managed to keep them up last year. And then this season, completely different squad. Completely different. And that's with his player management. So the players now are happy to play for Newcastle, happy to play under him, play in different positions for him. And the transfers that the club have done have helped him massively. But yeah, getting into fourth with that Newcastle squad, don't get me wrong, it's a quality side. But there are better teams in the league than them, on paper.
Of course.
So he's done very well to get third with the team that he's got, and they're only going to get better under him.
Absolutely. So what has been the moment that's gave us the biggest shock, probably sent our blood pressure absolutely soaring? Well, pretty much things that are understandable. Myself going Everton staying up, Elliot going for Leicester's relegation, and Gary's pretty much sums up perfectly Chelsea's shock. Gary, obviously you can't speak too loud due to the Chelsea fans that are in your house. If you could sum up Chelsea's season the way Elliot did earlier, how would you say? And once again, please keep it PG. We'd like to keep this on YouTube.
It's been absolutely shocking. It's been an absolute disaster, and I just think it's not what you expect from Chelsea. Expect Chelsea to be up in at least the top four or anything like that, and you just can't let it slide.
Absolutely, Elliot. Obviously, Leicester's relegation. 7 years ago, they're at the top of the Premier League. They won FA Cups, they won Community Shields, but it's just not worked out for them this season. And you actually covered the game with me, didn't you? Which you guys can check out now, the final day live stream, which was really great. All 10 games, it was an absolute goal fest, that live stream. But why was this the biggest shock for you?
Yeah, I mean, sorry to you two, by the way. I know you don't like me bringing this Leicester thing up. I know
I've got over it now. After a few drinks, I've got over it.
I did feel bad putting it in, but I had to put it in because they're not a relegation candidate team. Their squad is quite comfortable and quite able to push for Europe. But I don't think Brendan Rodgers got that from them this season. I think there are many factors that go into it. But yeah, like the furthest you could see them dropping was mid-table. Start of the season, everyone was saying the lowest they're going to drop is mid-table. With players like Tielemans in there and Maddison and players like Harvey Barnes. Like that team is too good to go down. Like if I said to both of you at the start of the season, I reckon Leicester would go down, you two would laugh. You two would be like, what are you on about? But Brendan Rodgers just didn't get the reaction that was needed. And in the end, I've heard it turned very toxic. And not a lot of players actually wanted to play for the club because they wanted to leave. And yeah, I just think that there are many factors that in the end sent them down, which nobody thought was going to happen.
Well, just to speak on that, and obviously Gary we can have a say at the moment. Obviously, his allegiance with the club is well known on this channel, and obviously he watched the game on Sunday, which obviously we'll have the video coming up on the channel very, very soon. But you mentioned on that about some issues obviously taking place. It was well public about what was going on. They obviously stuck with Brendan because he's done a great job at Leicester, of course, throughout the time. I did think they were going to struggle this season. I would never have put them relegation. I just think the time was up because they were keeping Maddison, because they were keeping Tielemans, and they're well right to. They are fantastic players, and they are the driving force of the spine of Leicester City. But for me, you get rid of Kasper Schmeichel. I criticised Kasper Schmeichel sometimes in his performances, but you lose again another leader, another great player, and you don't replace him. Danny Ward, I don't think was up for it. Obviously, the incidences in the World Cup as well.
He's not Premier League quality.
He's not Premier League quality.
Getting rid of Schmeichel, one of your biggest players, you need to fill that spot. Absolutely.
Well, you needed to fill the spot, when obviously they got rid of all the, players from the Champions winning team. Obviously your Mahrez,
the chance at the start of the season. Start of the season, didn't do it. Had a chance in January.
And they didn't have investment. They didn't have the money. They didn't have the investment. They've now made a fantastic training facility, which is great, but that cost them. So I do think, Sayuncu, fantastic centre back. I do think he could potentially play in a Man United team or a Chelsea team. In fact, they got rid of Fofana as well, another one. So you get rid of these big players and you've not got people to replace them. Johnny Evans is a great leader, but he is getting on a little bit. Every time I watch Leicester play this season, he's been struggling with injuries. The Newcastle one, I think he struggled at West Ham as well. I'm sure Gary will confirm that in a minute. But it's things like that. You leave out Sayuncu from the team because of a dispute he's had with Rodgers. And you understand and stuff like that, but you've got to put the team first. He didn't put the team first. He took Sayuncu out when we were leaking goals. As soon as Dean Smith comes in, he's straight back in. That's where you feel like players have lost the manager. And as soon as the manager loses control of your dressing room, then
the players lost belief.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether they lost belief. I believe they lost fight. I think they lost determination because it's like when you work with somebody, you work for your boss because your boss is your boss, and they didn't work for it, and that's the way it cost them. Guys, what's your thoughts on this, mate? Briefly before we get into the final award.
What Leicester's relegation?
If you want, mate.
I don't have much to say. But like Elliot said, obviously I know that it did turn quite toxic in the dressing room and stuff. And obviously, again, having the ties, you find out a lot about the club and what was going on. And yeah, it just all fell apart.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's give out our last award of the end of season awards, and that is match of the season. And it's a clean sweep for Liverpool. Myself going for that 7-0 victory over Manchester United, which sounds all fantastic to say. I've got a quick story about that, actually. I watched this with Elliot and his girlfriend, and his girlfriend was scared every single time I jumped up, wasn't she? It was almost like I was every single time the goal went in, I was up, I was down, I was all over the place. So I think she just thought I was either going to punch her in the face or something, not purposely. But of course, Elliot going for a great game at the Anfield, 2-2 in that one that probably set off Arsenal's demise just then, and Gary going for a 5-day draw between relegated Southampton and Liverpool. Overall, Gary, will start with you, mate. 4 against Southampton. Gary, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still with you.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on this one, mate?
Again, I just think the reason why I picked it is because you would have thought Southampton wouldn't have gone into the game not caring, and like whether they got beat or not. And I think they came out and just slung all guns at it, and it worked out.
It most definitely did. And when I was watching it as well, every single time I was just kept covering. Like I was like, they've scored again. They've scored again. It's like every single time. It was absolutely crazy.
The last day was ridiculous.
Elliot, mental, mate, mental. Elliot, what about you? Made that draw against Arsenal? I think we watched that game together, didn't we? Were we on camera? So. We watched it in video, FaceTime. Yeah.
I think so, yeah. But that was, again, crazy. It's after that Xhaka Trent incident. That's when the game got feisty and everyone wanted to go into challenges and that was crazy game. It's like I know at Anfield,
great game for a neutral. Let's just say that.
I know you're gonna get a fight at Anfield anyway, but it's how both teams done it. It was just so entertaining to watch because both teams wanted it. So obviously Liverpool were going for Europe, we were going for the title. Big game, 2 big teams, and yeah, it lived up to its hype and expectations, I think.
It most definitely did. So obviously, that's the award. Congratulations to all the winners. Congratulations to all the people that got a lower down award. We do apologise, but this is the opportunity. This is an opportunity now for Gary to talk about a very, very big project that we've got coming up on the channel. So, Gary, over to you, mate, if you want to spotlight yourself and you talk exactly about what's coming up with a big special video on the Footiefanzone channel in a couple of weeks.
So in a couple of weeks, we will be bringing out a different style of video to what we normally do. So it is the difference between League One final day and the Premier League final day. So obviously Premier League, a bigger standard, better standard than League One, and obviously League One, smaller standard, smaller stadiums, smaller atmosphere. And it's just going to show the difference between what a League One final day would look like and what a Premier League final day would look like. So the League One team is Lincoln, obviously close to Kieran's heart because where he is at uni. And then Leicester is the Premier League team, which is obviously close to me because working with them. And yeah, it's pretty decent to see.
Yeah, obviously that's a fantastic video to come in. Massive thanks to Gary for that. It's been a really, really great sort of experience to keep going to the live games with me and Elliot this season. So we're not just fans where we just look in front of in front of actually football fans and stuff like that. But while we're still talking about this season, then, lads, Elliot, we'll start with you, mate. 3 words to sum up this season, and if you could give this a score out of 10 for this season, what would you give it?
I would give a score about. Well, as an Arsenal fan, you'll give it about a 7 or an 8. Because I have thoroughly enjoyed this season. But 7 or 8. 3 words. Crazy, unpredictable, and entertaining.
Very, very good. Gary, over to you. I'm sure you'll have 3 very different words. If you could give us a score out of 10 as well.
Shocking in Premier League standard, amazing in Europe standard, and the whole season just a complete and utter shock.
3 words, 3 words, man, and you've used about an entire paragraph. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your opinion. Gary's always really good at my live streams as well because he just talks and this could go on and on and on.
Okay,
so something that's going on. What's that?
Okay, what's your 3 words?
Disappointing, emotional, and shocking. No, surprising. I'm going to go surprising because Liverpool was obviously with Leicester as well. You know, they're going to go to Liverpool, not getting Champions League. It's been like that. So obviously, I've just took the mick out of Gary. And a score out of 10, by the way, 5. Let's get next season when we're going to be buying a whole load of Premier League players because we can't get any Europe. This is going to be a moment now where we're going to laugh at about things because this is our tier list predictor. So back in episode 1, obviously we didn't have a channel at the beginning of the season. We didn't even know Elliot at the start of the season. But obviously we did what we predict the table is going to be like, and this is very, very wrong from what I can see right now. So obviously what we'll do is that we'll give the amount of points. So basically, obviously, with the tier, you've got more than obviously 3 teams, but we'll see how many exactly of correct points that we are going to get. So the relegation, 18th to 20th, we've obviously been awarded 1 point. That is obviously Southampton, who we guessed absolutely correctly getting rock bottom. But Bournemouth and Forest were the other 2 teams that we went with. So, Elliot, we'll start with you, mate. Just thoughts on that now, knowing that them 2 teams have survived?
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason why we put them down there is because the quality of their squad on paper is not as good as other people's. And both weren't on great form at the time. But from then, they've really both upped their game. And, yeah, at the end, they fully deserve to stay up.
Yeah, absolutely. Gary, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree completely with Elliot. I think the squads weren't as big and as good as the other squads in the Premier League, and I'm surprised to even say that Forest are still in the Premier League.
Yeah, they went on a fantastic run, didn't they, at the end of the season? Obviously, big wins as well, and they managed to get them 14th to 17th, and we have only got 1 point in that one. No, we got 2 points. I apologise. 2 points. Everton and West Ham. West Ham finished 14th, so just got in there, and obviously Everton as well finished in 17th. So we actually got that right. We got 17th and West. We got Everton and West Ham correct. It was the middle teams. Obviously, Wolves finished in 13th, Leeds in 19th, Leicester in 18th. So not the best. Not the best with that one. Gary, obviously, looking at that, these are teams that have had some success. I'm surprised that, I'm surprised, really, that a lot of these teams are down there. What's your thoughts on this one? The fact we've got 2 points.
2 points, it's good. Out of 5. I think, obviously, we could have done stronger, but Yes, looks decent out of 5.
Yeah, absolutely. Elliot, your thoughts on that one?
I mean, this was just all mumble jumble, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Like, I
wasn't
think
it?
at the bottom half, you couldn't really tell at this point who was going to finish where because it was all like, I think it was all close together, weren't they, in terms of points and stuff.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they were.
I mean, Leeds we put for what, 16th? No.
Yeah, 16th. No,
Yeah.
15th. 15th.
15th, and they ended up finishing second from bottom. And Leicester going down, like, I don't think we thought about them clubs going down. We just thought about them finishing towards the bottom, but not actually down there.
Yeah.
But at least we got one right.
Yeah, well, no, we got 2 right. We got Everton and West Ham, so we're good. But
Yeah,
we've doubled our points in the next tier because we've got 4 points. Chelsea, Brentford, Crystal Palace, and Fulham. So that was pretty good. Well, the only outlier is Brighton. We spoke a lot about them, but talk about them 4 teams. And let's talk about, because we spoke a lot about Fulham and Chelsea, let's speak about Brentford and Palace. So I'll dedicate a team to you. Elliot, why don't you talk about Palace and Gary Brentford? So Elliot, we'll start with you.
I mean, under Roy Hodgson, Palace have been exceptional. And I think when he come in, we all didn't know what they was getting themselves into. But I think they've ended the season off quite well. If they had Roy Hodgson from the start, I think they could have finished a bit higher. But yeah, in the end, it was I'd say, fairly successful season for Palace.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully, we'll see how they can push on. Brentford, Gary, what are your thoughts?
I think Brentford, they should have. We were predicting them to be lower due to, I think last season they were around that area, wasn't they?
They were.
And I just think we predicted it for exactly the same. But they've had a stupendous season, and I think there's no other way to describe it than stupendous.
Absolutely. We've got the Conference League correct. Absolutely brilliant. Villa were 7th. We put them 7th, so that is fantastic. Just the 1 point. Elliot, you can be the solo man speaking about Unai Emery's Villa.
I think you two know about my thoughts of Unai Emery. Well, I know Kieran anyway. But no, I've got to give it to him. This season, he has changed that Villa team since he's come in, and next season, I think it's going to be a force to be reckoned with because they've done really well since coming in. Played some incredible football. He's got players like Watkins going again and etc. So yeah, I think they've done very well this season and higher than I think even their fans thought they'd finish.
Absolutely. And we got 50% of the Europa League ones right. Obviously, Brighton, as we've mentioned, Liverpool as well at Europa League. If Gary doesn't mind, I'd like to obviously talk about Liverpool. For me personally, I think it was quite a disappointing season in that sense. We started really, really poorly. Defensively, we were shocking. I think it was Gary's struggling not to laugh. I can see him at the corner of his eye. He's tried to put his head down and disguise it. I can see you, mate. I can see you. There we go. He lies down now. But no, it's been really, really poor, obviously, with the defensive style. I do think we picked up later on in the season. I think we found our mojo. Obviously, I think the attackers were a little bit, obviously, the Nunes situation as well really didn't help him. I think the comparison to him and Haaland, I think, shot his confidence because even though Bundesliga is not at the same level as the Premier League, the Portuguese league is nowhere near. And I think he played really, really well against Liverpool at Benfica. Obviously, came in and that was supposed to be that comparison. I think that shot is confidence. I think this is ultimately good for Liverpool in the sense we need a rebuild now. We definitely need a new midfield. I've said it time and time again to both Gary and you. Midfield is the key. Finally, Klopp is looking at midfielders. I think we spend so much on defenders, so much on attackers. We need midfield. We need that stability. Look how well, Arsenal have done this season with that core midfield. City the same. Even Newcastle has got a really great midfield that can work for them. So I think it's big. And also we're going to look at Premier League proven talent. McAllister, Mount. A lot of these players are played in the Premier League and stuff like that. So a lot of the time we do look at Europe players because we're playing in the Champions League. We've got that appeal. Now we've not. You're going to look at Premier League proven, and there are some really great players that we never really focus on. But I think Conference League is good. Europa League is good for us this season. Hopefully, we don't drop down to Conference League. That would be that'd be a massive disappointment. But I think Europa League, we are going to be one of the favourites to win that anyway. Unless we get Sevilla, who are just tearing it up. Congratulations to them, by the way, after their win last night against Roma. Champions League, we got 2 out of the 4 teams in this tier. As I'm trying to say, how we did it was Newcastle we said was 4th, Man United was 3rd, and Man City 2nd. So in that tier, we've got 2 out of the 3 because City goes 1 up to the title winners, obviously. But Newcastle and Man United we got bang on. So Gaz, I robbed you of talking about the Europa League, mate. So you go on about the Champions League, and then it would be so painful for Elliot to talk about Man City as the title winners as well. See what I've done there, mate. This isn't our first rodeo.
Yeah, Newcastle and Man United. Obviously, Man United are proving up there. There was Newcastle, very, very shocking to hear. But yeah, they're obviously up there, and they're going on a Champions League tour instead of a European tour.
Absolutely. And actually, I can remember doing this, and we were a little bit like we kept sort of flipping them over. So the fact that we got that correct is quite good. Go on then. In the first title winners, we got 0 points. So as I total up the amount of points that we managed to get in the correct tiers, I'm going to pass it over to Elliot, who's going to cry on camera. Gary's removed it. He doesn't want to see it anymore. Go on, Elliot, after you go, mate.
Are you seriously making me talk about the title?
Oh my god!
No!
Yeah, I love this. Right, carry on.
I mean, full credit to City. Like, it does hurt to say, but full credit to them because in the end, over 38 game period, you've got to be consistent. And in the last 8 games, I think it was, we dropped off hard. Like game against West Ham, Liverpool, Southampton, games like that where you have to win. If you want to win the league, you have to win these games. And it doesn't help that our players got a bit burnt out, such as Saka and Martinelli and so on. But yeah, I think over 38 game period, City were much more consistent than us. And in the end, they had the quality to go over the line. But fair play to them. They fully deserve it. But we'll be back next year and we'll be coming for that title again, hopefully.
Absolutely. Well, we'll take about the spotlight. There we go. We'll make it feel a lot better. So now we're going to get into the team of the season. So how this has worked is that Elliot and Gary have made separate teams. They don't know anything about them. But this is the joint team. So these are the players that they've agreed on. And they've done pretty well. They've done pretty well with that. 9 out of the 11. A back 4 of Trippier, Diaz, Saliba and Zinchenko with Ramsdale behind them as well. A midfield of KDB, Odegaard and Casemiro, and of course Haaland, who's been getting so many incredible sort of recognition on this live stream so far. So let's start with the goalkeeper. We'll go backwards and forwards with it. Elliot, let's talk. Obviously, we'll go to you, mate, because because of it being Arsenal. Edison, I'm sure it was probably a name jump in your head, but Ramsdale has had a tremendous season. And why have you put him in this place?
Yeah, I mean, it could have been anyone out of Ramsdale, Pope, Edison, possibly Chuck De Gea in there. But I think Ramsdale's one of the big reasons why we were so successful this season and why we were able to stay at the top of the league for about 267 days or whatever it was. But yeah, I think his presence from the back, some of the crucial saves that he's made this season, his communication, his leadership. But yeah, I think everything of his has been perfect, and he's kept us in so many games. He's won us so many games. And yeah, I just think he was exceptional.
Kieran Trippier, obviously coming in, he had a little bit of controversy when he came to Newcastle as being the first sort of big money signing, but he's obviously had some incredible success in Spain and obviously come in captain in Newcastle. And as we've mentioned time and time again, they've played incredibly well this season. He's been massive in that right back. Gary, why have you gone for him, and was there any other potential players you potentially put in there?
No, I don't think there was. I think he's been that solid point of Newcastle's Champions League qualification, and I think he was the strongest out of all of them.
Yeah, most definitely. Diaz and Saliba, two solid centre backs. Obviously, you could put a lot of Man City centre backs in that choices. I'm surprised that neither of you went for Stones in this case, because he'd be in mine. Potentially, I'd probably put him at the back to try and fit in with the midfield. But talk to me, Ellie, about Diaz and why he was the central centre back for you in this case.
Yeah, I mean, he is obviously City's main man at the back. And I think a lot of their success comes down to him. Because obviously he's made some crucial challenges and where he commands a back four. Very rarely gets dribbled past, wins all the aerials. And yeah, he's been exceptional this season. Like, you can't get around him.
Absolutely. And obviously, Gary Saliba, great player, of course. He's done really, really well at Arsenal this season. He's been at the top of conversations, I would say, because obviously he struggled for injuries. A lot of people said that the reason why Arsenal did eventually fall off in the league is because of Saliba's injury. We spoke about that, didn't we, a couple of weeks ago, Elliot, with me on episode 5. Check it out now. But Saliba, of course, has been really, really solid for Arsenal. And what's your thoughts on sort of him and his importance in this Arsenal squad?
Yeah, he was very important to the Arsenal squad, and I think there's points where you could say that it could have been the case where he was the fault to the downfall, but I don't think you can put it all on that. I think, like Elliot said, the players were getting burnt out, and you didn't have enough squad depth, and I think that's the point that blew it.
Absolutely. And then an Arsenal player, former Manchester City, massively important. Particularly, I thought he was an absolutely fantastic signing. Fantastic signing when they brought him, and that is Zinchenko making his way. Elliot, obviously Zinchenko, how good he's been playing for Arsenal. Is there anybody else that you could potentially chuck in for left back? Dan Burn, maybe. The tallest left back of all time.
Ake, you could have thrown in there. I think they're the only two, really, that I can think of, Zinchenko and Ake. I'm probably missing one, but I can't remember. But yeah, obviously it's our first season with inverted fullbacks playing the way that we have been playing. And he fit the position. Huh?
Nobody said anything.
Oh, I thought he did. And yeah, he's fit that position really well. It obviously plays midfield for Ukraine. So even though he's left back, he's been playing like a midfielder. And yeah, the difference for when he's in the team to when he's not is incredible. Like, we're more fluent when he's in the team, more dynamic. Our attacks are a lot better when he's on the ball. And yeah, you can just see that he's played exceptional. His passing range as well got us out of trouble so many times.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's move into that midfield then. 3 quality midfielders, and we start off with the best of the bunch. Easily, in my opinion, could be in the best Premier League team of all time now. And it is getting a joke. It is getting a joke. Gary, do you even want to talk about De Bruyne, or do we just pass him because there's almost too many words to describe how good of a player he is?
Yeah, I think we just pass him. I think he's the best midfielder that's been in the Premier League.
That's a statement, and I don't really think I can ask a follow-up question on that one. But let's talk about Casemiro, because obviously he's come in. To me personally, without Casemiro, they wouldn't have got Champions League. I don't think they got the FA Cup final, and don't think they would have won the League Cup. And I know that's a little bit like you can't rely on one player, but the experience in which he played, the quality in which he has played throughout his career, and midfield was, again, one of them issues. We spoke about Liverpool and their lack of them types of midfielders. Casemiro is that good that he can control the game. And he is that, the way that Kante was at Leicester, where ultimately sometimes, how good he played allowed Vardy and Mahrez to play with so much freedom and not have to rely on, getting back because Kante was there. Same with Casemiro. He's a very rash. He's a very rash player, and some of his red cards has been very, very controversial. I'd say, in that time, I did think when he got like 2 in a matter of weeks, I did think to myself, like, somebody needs to put his arm around him and go, hey, calm down and stuff like that. But you can't argue about how well he's played this season. Like I said, he's been massively important. So I'm pleased to see that you put them in there, even though he's a Man United player. But Elliot, I'll give you the opportunity to talk about Odegaard and how well he's been. Captain fantastic. Captain Marvel, as I explained on the first live stream that we did, the live watch along. And he's been like that ever since.
Yeah, he has been like the magician in this team. This season, when I've watched him, he reminds me of Ozil. Like, it's just the little movements he makes and the passes is incredible. And the fact that he's 23 and he's already the captain and he's led the team to like 30 games in and we were top of the league. Well, later than that, we were top of the league. But yeah, a captain that takes you all the way up there and the impact that he's had as well. Because he's got the stats to prove how well he's been playing. If I quickly, hang on, if I get these up now.
Please do.
37 games, he's got 15 goals and 7 assists from midfield.
Crazy.
I mean, and some of them goals are huge goals. They're game-winning goals, and his work rate is unbelievable. And yeah, I don't think anyone can argue that he deserves to be in team of the season. Nothing but exceptional.
Well, I think we spoke absolutely pandemonium about Erling Haaland, and there's no reason to talk about him anymore. But he is in the team of the season, as you can see. Both of them have decided to put him in. But there, as you can see, the 2 wingers are the outliers. So we are going to go in to Gary's team to begin with, and the 2 outliers in the lovely claret and blue, Marcus Rashford on the left and Almiron on the right. Very interesting choice anyway for Miguel Almiron, but we will start off with Marcus Rashford. I mean, obviously we mentioned how important Casemiro has been. Rashford is provided so many, he seems to be playing with so much more confidence. I do think whilst his work is absolutely incredible off of the pitch and stuff like that, I think he's really focusing on his football and playing with a lot of freedom, scoring some great goals and assists for Man United this season. It's so painful to say. Talk to me. I like Marcus Rashford as a person anyway. Talk to me about him. How do you think he deserves to be in this team?
I think he deserves to be there because he's been that Man United attack force, and I think he's been there when they had no other option of really scoring a goal, and he's been the one to go and score a goal and win him a game or give him an equaliser.
Absolutely, absolutely. Was there anybody else in your mind about a left winger?
Probably Grealish.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Saint Maximan, maybe.
Yeah, Saint Maximan as well.
Okay, interesting. And then obviously on the right side, Almiron, a very surprising pick. I feel like you're gonna have to defend this. I'm sure Elliot was pleased he was sitting down when he revealed that choice. Why Almiron, mate? State your case. I'm not saying I disagree with you, but I'm interested to see what you say.
I think Almiron, I think he's been that also one of the attacking forces towards Newcastle getting Champions League, and I think if it wasn't for him, they wouldn't be pushing as quick as they do for an attack, and I don't think there's no other option really that they can do.
Absolutely. Elliot, also Gary's team?
Yeah, I mean, mine was a toss-up between Rashford and who I went with. Obviously, they're both very good players. You could have had a lot of players in that left wing position. But yeah, Rashford's been incredible this year with the amount of goals that he's scored and the performance he's put in for Man United. And him and Casemiro have defined their season.
Yeah, absolutely. And then let's move in then to Elliot's team of the season. 9 selected in the classic red there, but the 2 outliers that Gary did not pick, Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka. You can choose whichever one you want to talk about first. And obviously them 2 young players playing really, really well, of course, for Arsenal. What's your thoughts? Why do you think them 2 deserve to it? And was there any others that potentially were on your mind about being played in this squad?
Obviously, I was on about Rashford. Anyone else? I think that's it. Because Martinelli this year, he has really stepped up. 15 goals in the league this season for Martinelli. That's obviously a huge season for him. And yeah, like I said with a couple of the players, he's been one of the reasons why we've done so well. Just his energy on and off the ball. He likes to get involved. He likes to let the defenders know that he's there. Always pushing players. And I'm going to have to mention it, Kieran, but his first time Arsenal played Liverpool this year, Trent had golf injured because Martinelli was all over him. But yeah, he's just done that all season. The fact that he's just been unstoppable on that left wing. And moving over to Saka on the right, again, really solid season, pulled up with goals, with assists, crucial moments in games where we were going to lose and then he brings it back for us. But yeah, I don't think I need to really say a lot about Saka because everyone knows how good he is and we briefly spoke about him earlier on the episode. But yeah, I think them 2 fully deserve a team of the season. And I think they could be in for the running next year as well.
Absolutely. I'm also surprised that Gary didn't put Saka in because obviously giving him young players. So I'm surprised by that. But obviously he went with Almiron, but that, so well done there. I mean, 9 players that you've both agreed on just shows that you've got an equally intelligent football mind. So let's get into the final segment of the show, and we're going to end it with the 2022-23 Premier League end of season stat quiz. So instead of going against each other, they're going to be working together on this. as well. So the name of the game, if we go onto the board, the quiz board, I feel like I'm on Family Fortunes. We've got the categories here: top scorer, assist king, accurate shooter, creative, ball at your feet, tackle me, and I will have that ball. So all the categories here. We've got 7 categories, and how this is going to work is that it will reveal the correct answer as well, and you guys have to work together. So basically, how it's going to work is that you get 1 point for exactly the player that it is, and then it's going to be 2 points as well if you can name the exact number as well. If I'm very, very close to the number, and if I'm feeling kind, then you might be able to give it. Then I might be able to give it to you. But we'll have to see. I'm sure the top score is going to be pretty easy. So we are going to get into this. So first off, top scorer, and by the way, you guys can discuss it. Then one of you, so we'll say Gary because he's the older one, so he deserves a bit more. He deserves a bit more responsibility. We'll have to say your agreed answer and then go final answer. So top scorer, what is your answer? You can discuss.
Go on, Gary. I don't think we need to discuss it.
No, it's Haaland.
Okay. That is correct, but how many goals has he scored for an extra point?
36.
Could you concur?
Yeah.
And that is correct. Well done to you both. So you get the correct answer. Unfortunately, the board is currently not working, but we do have the categories. So you guys also assist. So guys,
Hello.
Near us?
Yeah, I think we'll go with that.
What are we going with, sorry?
I think Mahrez could be up there.
Yeah. I was thinking Odegaard. Because I think he's on like 9 or something.
Yeah, Odegaard could be up there as well.
Grealish.
Yeah, I think we'll go Odegaard and just hope and pray.
Yeah, you've got Saka up there as well.
I think Odegaard's probably the best option we've got.
De Bruyne. No, it's De Bruyne.
All right, yep, we'll go De Bruyne then.
Go for De Bruyne with 11, I think.
So is that your final answer, De Bruyne with 11?
Yes.
So it is, but he has got more than 11. So that's correct. But you did get the player. You did get the player after a few doubles, but he actually got 16 assists. 16.
16.
Okay, accurate shooter. Yeah, accurate shooter. So this is how many shots that a player has got on target throughout the course of the year. Who are you saying, and what is the number guess as well?
I think there's only one man we can really go for, and I think it's Haaland again.
I was going to say Callum Wilson.
This shout as well, yeah.
Haaland has missed a lot of chances. I know he's scored a lot, but he's also missed a lot. Did you want to go Haaland?
Yeah, I think we go Haaland, and then if it is Wilson, then I'll hold my hands up.
I don't think it is, but I think we'll go Haaland.
And the number?
Well, he scored 36.
50.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you picked up no points in this round. It was actually Harry Kane who got the most shots on target throughout the course of the season, and he got 63 shots on target.
Jesus.
I know, it's not even a player that you guys mentioned. So there we Yeah, the England skipper with the most accurate shooter. Most creative player then. So the most chances. I will tell you that this is over 100. I will tell you that now. That I'll give you a bit of a hint for this. This is over 100. Whoever it is, who do you think it is?
I'm thinking Grealish, you know.
Kevin.
Yeah, another good shout.
Again, Mahrez could be up there as well.
Yeah, Odegaard.
Yeah.
It goes back to the same players.
But then do we go the safe option?
Safe option being De Bruyne.
Kevin. Yeah.
I'm torn between De Bruyne and Grealish.
I think we'll just go the safe option, go De Bruyne.
Go on then, we'll go De Bruyne. What number are we saying? 112.
Yeah, go on then, we'll do that.
You're very, very close with the number. The number was 119, and it was Bruno.
Bruno?
Which one?
Fernandes.
Fernandes.
Right.
Fernandes. Anyway, you got it wrong. You didn't give me any Bruno.
Is that just how many penalties he's had this season, is it?
Well, I don't know. It's just the most chances created. So, no, Bruno Fernandes. So, as the song says, we don't talk about Bruno. You guys didn't talk about him at all. There we go. My film knowledge getting in there. Ball at your feet then. Successful dribbles in a season. By the way, this is not over 100. I'm telling you now. Successful dribbles. Who are we saying?
I've got to say Grealish again.
Yeah, I'm going to agree on that one.
How many?
26.
No, 26 over a whole season.
Yeah, but you got to think how many players they take on, or how many times they take on a player a game.
He's got to average about 2 or 3 dribbles a game.
Yeah, and there's 38, so it'll still be over 26.
I would have said Grealish was about 56.
All right, we'll go with that then. Grealish and 56.
Oh,
It's not Grealish. I think you need to stay away from Grealish with this. It's actually Eze with it, and he's got 73. So it's well over 26. But Elliot did bridge the gap a little bit with his guess of 56. But there we go. So no points in that one as well. Come on, boys. You can get this back. You can get this back. Penultimate question then. Tackle me. So this is the most successful tackles throughout the whole season. What are you saying? Again, it is under 100. I feel like I should give that. But
it's got to be a DM.
What's she saying? What are you saying?
It's got to be a DM.
Casemiro.
For me, it's between Casemiro and Palhinha.
Yeah. Rice could be up there as well.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'd go Palhinha with 72.
There's your answer, Kieran.
You're back on the board, 84, and it is Palhinha. Well done to Elliot who put it in there, mate. Well done. There we go. Yeah, 84. So the first player, sort of player outside of them Champions League and Europa League sort of battles, isn't it? Crystal Palace as well. So Fulham. So no, well done. And then the last game, the last category, I will have that ball, the most interceptions. Again, it is under 100. Who are we saying and what's the number? Come on, let's end on a high.
Either a DM or a fullback.
Yeah. Who are you thinking?
Probably Casemiro, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah, go with that.
But how many?
Tackles. So you're going to make what? Roughly 2 tackles a game?
Interception is where the ball is passed. And
interception, sorry. I thought we were doing tackles, not going to lie.
No, it's interceptions.
That's
tackles. Interceptions. You do what? 2 interceptions a game still?
I'd say yeah. So just do 38. Where's my phone?
38 times 2 is a lot.
76.
That's the one.
There you go. 76. And Casemiro.
You mentioned him for the successful tackles. It's not Casemiro. It's the main man, Declan Rice, who, as we've been doing this, apparently Arsenal will submit a bid for him after the conference final. That's what we've heard. But he has got the most interceptions with 62. So there we go. So well done, guys. You scored 4 points. 4 points out of a possible 14, which wasn't bad. So congratulations to you both. Good teamwork as well, by the way. So, ladies and gentlemen, if we could just go back into the tight segment of us, if you don't mind, Gaz, putting us back into the tight section, if you don't mind. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank each and every single one of you that has interacted with the channel over the last few weeks. It's been an absolute pleasure to be doing these guys with two fantastic people and really, really great friends of mine. So thank you both so much for keep going on with this. Obviously, next season, the big season where it's going to be kicked off right from the start in August, late August, early September. You know that this channel is going to be all over the upcoming Premier League season. Like I mentioned, we will be updating exactly what we're going to be doing over the summer as well. So, guys, many thanks for listening. Many thank you for subscribing and liking all of that, interacting in the live streams. It's been a real honour and a pleasure to do it with these two fine gentlemen. Thank you very much for checking us out today, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed the show as well as the other ones as well. So enjoy the football, and we'll see you next time on the Footy Fan Zone. It's goodbye from me.